next sitting day. Call on Government Order of the Day number 4.
Building Amendment Bill number 4, first reading.
Speaker.
The Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Speaker, I move that the Building Amendment Bill number 4 be now read a first time. Mr Speaker, I intend to move that this, at an appropriate time, that this Building Bill Amendment number 4 be considered by the Local Government and Environment Select Committee, and that committee report back to the House on or before the 31st of July 2012. Mr Speaker, the Building Act 2004 is the primary legislation that governs the building and construction sector in New Zealand, and I want to make sure that members are fully aware of just how vitally important to our economy the building and construction sector is. I bet you if we did a survey of this House and asked how big is building and construction as a contributor to our GDP relative to, say, agriculture, everybody would say they were quite different. In fact, they are almost identical in their contribution, almost exactly the same in their contribution. So to get some efficiency gains into this sector is vitally important. So, sir, what the National Government did is we conducted a major review of the Building Act. We went out and sought submissions. We got over 380 submissions on the current legislation. And I think, to be fair to Labor, because it was their legislation, the general submissions were that the current system wasn't broken, but we did need to get something that was more, that we actually had to reduce some of the costs and some of the red tape that was in there and try and improve some efficiency in the system. So more to do with some amendments to the legislation rather than a holus bolus throw it out of it, because productivity in the building sector is very low, there's a lot of risk-averse behaviour, and there's a lot of things that needed. So I welcome and thank the huge number of organisations, from people like master builders and certified builders and Building Industry Federation and a whole range of people who made submissions to this Act and who I believe will make submissions to the Select Committee. So, sir, amendments to the Primary Act have been done by two things. We just in the House passed the other day the Building Amendment 2012, which actually started off as the number 3 bill, and now with this bill it brings together, and I think members will remember when I was talking about the number 3 bill in the last few weeks I was doing it, was to not judge it on its own merit, but to understand that it was part of a comprehensive package of some changes. And, sir, if I took the changes of both that number 3 and now this number 4 bill together, I think I could fairly lay out what the government's goals are. The government's goals are a sector with the necessary skills and capability to build it right first time, because so much of the building and construction sector up till now has been about redoing the work or coming back to fix up what was wrong. So getting it right first time. A sector that delivers good quality, affordable homes and buildings and contributes to a prosperous economy. A well-informed sector which shares its information and quickly identifies problems and corrects them. A sector where everyone involved in building work knows what they are responsible for and what they can rely on others to do. And finally, consumers in the sector making informed decisions and understanding the risks and consequences of their decision. So that's what we're after, sir. Let me take members through some of the substance of this bill that we're introducing, or that we're doing first reading of tonight. This bill completes the government's changes to the Building Act 2004, the review of it arising from as I said, the big submissions that we had received, and it supports the government's goal of achieving a more efficient and productive building sector. And I want to outline what some of the key changes contained in this number 4 bill are. The bill introduces new consumer protection measures to help New Zealanders who are building or renovating their homes. New Zealand's housing stock, and this is a good number for members, is worth about $613 billion. $613 billion, Mr Speaker. That's about 10 times the value of the New Zealand Stock Exchange. So consumers and builders in the housing market deserve, I believe, to have clear rules about how they are expected to behave in such a ginormous industry with such a phenomenal asset base. The new measures in the bill will help homeowners to hold to account those responsible for building work and get any faults fixed quickly and more efficiently. The new measures include all residential building work above a prescribed price must be documented in a written contract between the homeowner and the building contractor. This will ensure both parties clearly understand from the outset what their rights and their responsibilities are. Before a contract is signed, a building contractor will be required to provide information to their client about their company, the people who will be carrying out the work, their track record and any surety or financial backing they have to cover the costs of fixing any faults. This, I believe, Mr Speaker, will help consumers make informed decisions about which contractors to choose based on knowing those that have got a good track record with very few faults along the way will be where I think the market will gravitate very quickly towards. All building contractors will be required to fix any defects in their work reported by their clients within 12 months of completion. This obligation is additional to the existing 10-year limit for people to be able to sue for defects of building work. The 12-month period is intended to be a no questions asked requirement on the building contractor to stand behind the quality of their work, similar to how faulty goods can be returned and repaired if they are not fit for purpose. We can do it for our coloured TVs, we can do it for our new motor cars, or so we should be able to for new buildings. The builder must put right any defects so somebody's new house and the service they receive is fit for purpose and the quality and the standard that they paid for. I think consumers can expect no less. Mr Speaker, these measures will put in law what is already best practice in the industry, because I need to stress that there are a number of good practices out there that do a lot of this. Builders will be more likely to build it right the first time because they clearly will be accountable for fixing their own mistakes. The government anticipates these new consumer protection measures will support responsible professional building contractors, and we expect to see contractors competing on quality as well as on price. The measures will also help owners to distinguish the professionals out there from the cowboys. Mr Speaker, the bill also contains some other important amendments to the Building Act 2004 to improve efficiency and accountability in the sector. These include increasing from $100,000 to $200,000 the maximum penalty for doing building work without a building consent. This will better signal the offence is one of the most serious offences that can be conducted in the Building Act. Rewriting and reformatting Schedule 1, which provides for exemptions for building consent requirements. Schedule 1 has been amended several times since 2004 and has become difficult to access and to understand. And adding new powers for territorial authorities to deal with non-dangerous buildings that are near to dangerous buildings. Again, I think members from Canterbury will know that's an issue that's cropped up time and time again. A building that is not dangerous, but it's right next to one that is, and actually giving the local authorities some power to act on that building which may be in danger. The Canterbury earthquake showed that there can be significant risks to undamaged buildings if they are next to those that are dangerous. Councils should be able to warn people about the danger or, in the worst case scenario, prevent people from entering those buildings that may be adversely affected by what's next door. And, sir, better targeting the requirements of the dam safety scheme is included in this to dams that are large dams by virtue of their size and based on risk factors. Again, sir, I'm a minister and I think this government is very fixated on trying to actually deal with things on a risk-rated basis and not have a one-size-fits-all. So this will, I think, improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the dam safety scheme and reduce a lot of compliance costs for a lot of rural farmers in particular who have quite small dams on their land but have actually had to comply. Mr Speaker, this bill will empower consumers, it will increase confidence in the sector, it will reinforce incentives for the sector to upskill, and it will reduce compliance costs by clarifying regulatory requirements. Sir, I'm delighted to say that I think that every one of the major organisations, industry groups that I've talked to about the substance of this bill are supportive of it. In fact, it was many of them that contributed to the writing of this as we've got it to this point. I expect at Select Committee it will get some modifications, but the actual general intent of it, I think, will weather the Select Committee and come back to this House in July. I commend the bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Raymond Ho.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Labor will support this bill